Hello, everybody. Hope you are all well. Hi, Christoph. Hope you're good. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Feel free to speak to the others. Hope you're all doing well today. Thank you so much for joining. So, today's topic. So I'm sure you are here because you already know about today's topic. Hi, Maya. So we're going to be talking about networking and doing business. So I'm not sure what type of jobs you all have. Maybe if you want, you can share the industry that you work in, or what type of work you do. And then we can have an idea of maybe what kind of business you are doing or what kind of networking that you might be doing. So obviously you guys know that I'm an English teacher. So obviously for me, networking could mean that I am talking to, I could be talking to new potential students, or I could be at an event talking to people about my job and about my company, about Cercle, for example. So how about you guys? What kind of networking do you do? What industry do you work in? What kind of business do you do? It would be great to hear from all of you what you do. So you could write down in the chat if you like. So hello to Alan, Felix, Paige, and Arno. Welcome. So Alam, great. So you work in human resources. Nice. Felix, you work in the entertainment industry. Christoph, you are a project manager. Great. So these are all different types of jobs in different fields. So one thing that you may all have in common is that you need to do networking. So networking in general, is when you are at an event and you talk to other people about your job, about your industry. So Maya, you work in a training center, and Sebastian, you work in IT. Hi Evelyn, no problem. So we're just talking about networking, and my question that I have for you all now is, why do we do networking? As I just explained, networking involves going to events, meeting people, usually related to your job. But why do we do it? I'll give you a clue. It has something to do with the title of this series. So no problem. Hi Veronique, hi Quentin. So I can give you some reasons for why we do networking. Obviously, we want to meet contacts. So maybe if you meet some contacts, they might be useful for the future. So it's important now and a new way to do business. Yes, exactly, definitely. So before, in the past, maybe you have your family and your friends and you do business in this way. But obviously, we are limited with our family and our friends, so we need to go to these type of events to do business. And Quentin, a very good answer. We want to increase sales, exactly. So it's very important for us to build relationships and to break the ice. So, exactly. Good, perfect. So let's all imagine that we are at a networking event. So obviously we need to start with an introduction. So often the way that we introduce ourselves in English, obviously we use our name, and we often say what company we come from as well. So it would be great if you guys could write an example of this. How would you present yourself with your name and your company? Or if you do not currently have a job, you could talk about what field or industry you work in. This is also a nice way, or if you do not want to say the name of your company, for example, what is a potential way you could introduce yourself? So I'll give you guys a few seconds to write an example there. Maybe I will also give you an example myself. So I'm sure you're all busy writing your example sentences. I'm Christoph and I work at SNCF. Yes, perfect. Great. That's a really good example. So, hi, my name is Sebastian and I am a freelance developer. So just the order of that. So good. Hi, I'm Maya. I work in a training center in Lyon. Good. My name is Evelyn. I work at the reception. Yes, good. Another way you could also say that is, so here's my example. Hi there, I'm Vanessa from Le Cercle de Langues. Here I say hi there, then I say my name and say from, and then I say the name of my company. Okay, great. So Quentin, I've been working in structured finance of assets for more than 10 years. Perfect, great. You're giving some more detail and you're also saying how experienced you are as well. You're adding the number of years. That's really great, nice. Veronique, I am the main manager of a non-profit organization. Yes, great, really good. Just so you know, with a non-profit organization, it's a non-profit because it's not an, because it is not a vowel. So good. Hi, I'm Mapina. Sorry, I'm late because mail is not work. No worries. Welcome, Jacques. Okay, good. So those were all really good introductions. So imagine you are at a networking event with your colleague. So now you want to introduce your colleague. How would you introduce your colleague? What do you think is a nice way to bring them into the conversation? So I would usually do this you can do this in the form of a question. So, so you can do this in the form of a question, or you can do this in the form of a statement. Often at networking events, it's nice to go with a colleague. Maybe you feel a little bit safer, so you're not completely alone. So great, Quentin. Thank you very much. Let me introduce. Yes, exactly. That is a really great way to start it. Yes, you could also say, let me introduce you to my colleague, just to add a little bit of extra information. Good. So Christoph, this is Robert, my new colleague. Perfect. Nafat, let me introduce you to my colleague. Yes. May I introduce you to my colleague, Arnaud? Yes, great. Let me introduce you to Leo. Yes. So Evelyn, great. So almost. So instead of saying, do you ever met? What you would say instead is, have you ever met? So here we use the present perfect because it's about a general experience. So have you ever met my colleague Letitia? She works in the communications department. Yes. Oh no need to apologize. You did a very good job. Great. So those are some different ways that you can introduce your colleagues. So very good there. So now we're going to think about, so Sebastian, let me introduce my colleague. He is a graphist. So in that case, I think what you want to say is that he is a graphic designer. And if you introduce your colleague, usually you say he is or she is to specify, because you know. So great. Nice. Okay, so when we are at a networking event, it's very common that we will want to make small talk. So sometimes we don't want to speak directly about we don't want to speak directly about work. So, or maybe we want to be less direct to begin with before we really start the conversation. So I'm going to give you a question, a direct question. And what I want you to do is try and see if you can have a variation of this question so that it is less direct and more polite. So if you can think of a different way to answer this question. So the first question I have for you is a very direct question. It's okay to say this in English, of course. Everybody will understand you if you say this. But maybe when you are at a networking event, maybe when you are doing business, you want to sound more polite. So what is a different way of saying, what is your job? Do any of you know a different variation or a different way to say this? So, Christoph, could you tell me what is your job? Yes, you could say that, definitely. So, Quentin, great, perfect. What do you do? This is a very common thing to say in English. What do you do? Definitely. Because obviously, if you think about a person who does not have a job, if you say to them, what is your job? Maybe it's a little bit embarrassing for them to say, oh, I don't have a job at the moment, or I am searching for a job. But if you ask the question, what do you do? They can talk about their industry. They can talk about their background, what they did in the past. So it sounds relevant today. So Evelyn, great. So you've expanded there. How long have you worked in this field? It's great. Nice. So Arno, what is your occupation? This is quite formal. So this is something you might say if you go to like a government office or something bureaucratic, they ask for your occupation. So I can give you, so with what do you do, you can also add something on the end of this. You can also say, what do you do for a living as well? Because the idea is that our jobs are a big part of our life. So we do it for a living. Okay, great. So again, we want to avoid being too direct in English. So perhaps they tell you about a job and you think, I'm not sure what this job is or what this job title means. So you could ask them a direct question. You could say, what exactly do you do in your job? Because you want them to be specific. Can anybody think of a more indirect way to ask this? Or maybe a statement you can say so that they tell you more about their job without asking too directly. So I'm looking forward to reading your answers, what you guys are going to say here. So you're all thinking. Alem, great, perfect, nice. So what kind of mission do you do at work? So the word that you're looking for here is assignment. So an assignment is what you do, maybe if you are a consultant or if you're a project manager. So if you say mission, this is usually if you work for the church or if you work for an NGO or if you're going up into space. So a mission is a type of assignment, but much, much bigger, much larger scale. So yes, you could ask them about their specific assignment. Good. Veronique, could you present me your job? Yes, exactly. You could ask them to present, give you some more detail. Evelyn, are you in charge of great responsibilities? Yes. Probably a slightly more natural way to say this is what responsibilities do you have? So this is something that we are more likely to say. It's a little bit more natural responsibilities. So, Nafat, what does it consist of? So you could say, what does your job consist of? Yes. Great. So Paige, tell me of your job, or tell me about your function. Exactly. Good. So, nice. Great. So, here is what I might say if I went to a networking event. Again, I'm trying to be kind of indirect with what I say. So, your job sounds interesting. I'd love to know more about it. So, here I'm not asking specifically what are your daily tasks or what is your exact assignment. I'm leaving it open for them to tell me as much or as little as they want. So just the idea that I want to hear more, but it's up to you what you want to tell me about your job, especially if it's a job which is maybe very complex, in a field that you do not know about. Yes, you can find out some more information about it this way. So at networking, you're often at an event together. So maybe you will say to the person, why are you at this event? Often the reason is perhaps that they want to go to this event, obviously to meet people, to meet contacts, for example. But what is a way of answering this question? How could you say this question in a less direct way? So taking this question and saying it in a slightly more polite way. So, looking forward to reading what you guys are going to say here. And of course, afterwards, I will share with you what I might say at a networking event. So everyone's thinking very hard about this one. So like I said, and as I often say, in English, we like to be less direct. We want to kind of dance around the subject a little bit. Okay, Christoph. So do you speak to this event? So do you mean if the participant is speaking with other people? So do you mean like... Have you spoken to others at this event, for example? Or are you meeting contacts at this event, for example? Okay, Evelyn, great. So did you receive an invitation? Yes, exactly. Or did your... you could say, did your boss or manager advise you to attend this event? So Quentin, I see you have a joke here. Are you lost? Yes, maybe you want to make a joke with the person. If you go to a networking event and it's a little bit boring or you are not enjoying it, of course, you could say this, say, are you lost? Are we lost? So definitely. Great. So a very common phrase that we would use in English, that's quite common to say, what brings you to this event? So the idea is that it's not you being at this event, it's that you were somebody, you came, that something was appealing or nice about it, so you were brought to it. It's a little bit euphemistic, but yes, this is something we use in English quite a lot when we talk about events. So the next time you are at an English-speaking event or in an English-speaking context, you could say this. What brings you to? You could also use it, for example, imagine you are speaking to a foreigner here in France. and you want to know why they came to France, why they moved to France. This is a nice way of saying it. Instead of saying, why did you come to France? Or why did you move to France? You could say, what brings you to France? This is a very nice, polite way of asking somebody why they live here or why they moved here. So you could ask me, for example. So what brought me to France, for example? Okay, so moving on. Let's look at this next kind of direct sentence that you could say at a networking event. Do you like this event? Very direct. It leaves little room for an answer. They can say yes, they can say no, but it could stop the conversation. So when you ask a closed question like this could be the problem. So can you think of a way to make it indirect so it leaves the communication a little bit more open? So trying to make the question open instead of closed. So obviously the point, one of the objectives of a networking event is that you want to have a conversation with people. So when you ask closed questions, which only have a yes or no response, then it could stop conversation. So Christoph, great. What do you think about this event exactly? So Quentin, appreciate. So if you want to say appreciate, like in the way that you say if you like something, I don't think it would work so well in English. So it's better to say maybe, are you enjoying this event? Instead of do you appreciate this event? So Veronique, do you like the topic of this event? Yes. Alam, nice. How do you feel about this event? Yes, exactly. Nice. So that's an open question. So then they can tell you how they feel about it. Nice. So I have also gone for something similar to Alam. So how are you finding this event? So finding the event is nothing to do with, it's on a certain street or in a certain district. When you ask someone, how are you finding, and then follow it up with a subject, it's asking them for their opinion on something. So for example, imagine that you are watching a new TV series and so is your friend. You could also say, how are you finding, and then the name of the TV series, and your friend can say to you, yeah, it's okay, I enjoy it, I don't enjoy it. So the same with this networking event. How are you finding this event? Yes, it's very interesting. I wish there were more speakers, something like this. So again, this is a really nice way, like a really authentic way, something that native English speakers would say at a networking event. So now let's imagine that we are at the, you're at the end of the conversation. You've spoken with this person about their industry, why they are at the event, how they found the event. And you think, oh, this is like a very interesting, this person is very interesting. So I want to ask for their contact details. So can you give me some example sentences of how you would ask a person for contact details? So, Christoph, thank you very much. How are you finding Vanessa on YouTube's meeting today? Very nice. Thanks for the feedback, Veronique. So, you're at a networking event and you want to get the details of another person. How could you ask the other person for their details? What is a nice way to say that is to ask? Also think about nowadays, we're in a digital world. So of course we could talk about business cards, but we could also talk about a social network like LinkedIn, for example. So Alem, so may I ask you about Jonas's mobile? Okay. So you want to get somebody's mobile number. Yes. So, for example, if you're asking about one of the person's colleagues, could I get Jonas's mobile number? Exactly. So, great. Could I have your phone number or email address? So just make sure the E in front of it, because if you say mail, it's like post. So great. So Maya, could I have your contact details? So just make sure to use the could, just to be a little bit more polite than canned. Evelyn, nice. Would you mind, very nice, giving me your email address or phone number? So just be careful with the spelling there. So email address. So in English, address has 2 D's, unlike French. Great. So those are all really nice examples. So let me give you some examples. Again, like we like this whole indirect approach in English, as I spoke about before. Let's stay in touch. So this is very kind of vague. And if you just say this statement, you allow the other person to give a suggestion. They say, oh, here's my business card, or here's my email address, here's my LinkedIn details. Maybe it's going out of fashion, but some people still carry business cards. So you could say to them, let's swap business cards. So it means they give you their business card and you give them your business card. So that's what it means to swap. If you really want to meet with this person, maybe you want to discuss something, maybe they have an opportunity for you, or vice versa, you could say, let's grab a coffee sometime, or let's get a coffee sometime. So Salmatu, you could also grab a wine or get a wine with them as well. And thank you very much for your comment about my accent. Or something else you could say is, you could also say, it would be great to connect on LinkedIn. So Alem, great, let's keep in touch. Here is my LinkedIn. Great, perfect. So nice. So Margot, you spoke about could. I think the best ones to stick to when you want to ask a question is could, because could is more polite than can. So we spoke about this in previous YouTube live before, about how could is better to use instead. Great, nice. So now we just have a few minutes left. So what I would like you to do is, let's imagine that you are talking with a new person at a networking event. Think about a potential question you could ask this person. So think about that sometimes it's nicer to be indirect. Or if you go to networking events, maybe it's a question that you often ask people. So it would be great if you could all participate and if you could all write an example sentence. So you're talking with a new person at a networking event. So write a potential question that you could ask this person. You can imagine any scenario of it. And so I could give you an example. So at some networking events that I have been to, sometimes there is a speaker. So perhaps you could say, so it's possible to say, what did you think of the speaker? Or what did you think of, and then anything that happened at the event. So it would be great if I could have some example sentences from you guys just to finish off in the last few minutes. Look forward to reading your sentences before we go. So Evelyn, great. Do you think you will participate in the next networking event? If yes, or if you do, you could keep me informed about it. Keep me informed about it, or keep me in the loop. So this means you want the other person to tell you if there is an event in the future. And it's always participate in. Always, always, always with participate. So in. Great. Really good sentence. Thanks for that. What did you think about this networking event? It's my first one. Great. So usually we would have the the question mark right after networking event, and then it's my first one. It's just a statement. So yes, that's a really good question to ask. If it's open, it means that it allows the other person to give their opinion and continue the conversation instead of saying, did you like it? When a person can reply yes or no and it stops the conversation. So yes, it's really nice to ask open questions. Great, those are some really good examples. Thank you very much for that. So we are coming towards the end of today's YouTube Live. So I want to thank you all so much for your participation. You guys came up with some really good examples. I hope that the examples that I gave you were also useful as well. And yes, so next week we have another YouTube Live at the same time. It's also in the same series, so we're still breaking the ice. So it's very much about how you speak with people, how you build relationships with them as well. So thank you all so much for your participation and hope to see you all again next week. Bye bye.